Hello, welcome back. Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain a drama, fantasy, sci-fi film called After the Dark. Watch out and take care. Mr. Zimmet, a philosophy teacher, reluctantly admits James to class after he oversleeps. His girlfriend Petra, the top student in her class, seems dejected. It's a Jakarta International School. Today is their last day. Mr. Zimmet has challenged his 20-person class with cognitive activities in order to prepare them for the future. The students share their instances of thought experiments. For example, if you give a monkey a typewriter and an endless period of time, it will ultimately type out Hamlet, or the tram problem, which has a lever and requires you to choose between 1 and 4 people, and the obese man problem, which requires you to push him on the tracks to stop the tram. Would you go through with it? Mr. Zimmet performs an activity in which he imagines an oncoming nuclear holocaust. There's a bunker nearby that will keep them safe for a year. They glance around and see various pastimes. The issue is that there are only enough supplies for 10 individuals. The pupils must choose which of them to admit, and they do not have much time before the atomic radiation hits them. Petra, the greatest student, refuses to join at first, but Zimmet threatens to reduce her boyfriend's academic grade if she does not. As a result, she remains. Zimmet gives cards with information about the pupils' characters in the exercise. Everyone notes that after Zimmet hands Petra and James their business cards, he begins coughing. In the brainstorming exercise, everyone begins to introduce their personalities. Petra is an engineer and James is an organic farmer, agent for real estate, carpenter, the opera singer, manager of hedge funds, harpist, astronaut, chemistry PhD, electrician, the auctioneer of wine, surgeon, housekeeper, designer of clothing, chef de cuisine, zoologist, psychotherapist, soldier, senator, last but not least, a poet who has been published. Zimmet shoots him right away, claiming that it is more compassionate than letting them die from radiation because he would never get into the bunker anyhow. Zimmet is a participant in the exercise, but his abilities are unknown. After the students defend their right to enter the bunker, there is a group vote. The final spot was between Zimmet and the opera singer, and Zimmet won. In their imaginary situation, they take 5 minutes to say farewell and rearrange the desks in the classroom to sit with the surviving and the abandoned. There are gunshots heard. Zimmet has killed everyone who did not get a bunker slot. The gang is taken aback. Petra tells James she does not want him in the bunker. James devises a method in which everyone gathers plants before entering the bunker. While everyone is separated, he approaches each of them individually and informs them that they will meet in the bunker. Zimmet notices this after a while. They turn off the external keypad and close the bunker, leaving Zimmet outside. They look inside to see what they'll be working with next year. A fake garden, a daybed, anything to alleviate depression. Later, on the bed, James meets Petra and tells her he can get through anything with her. Petra checks on Zimmet after James falls asleep. Outside, Zimmet holds up a piece of paper with the exit code written on it. The gang is unsure whether what he wrote is accurate or not. They'll have to live for a year to figure this out. The group lives in a bunker and does menial work there. Their lives are miserable and terrible. Petra still visits Zimmet's body on occasion. She seemed depressed. It has not been a particularly lovely year. They worried if the end of their first tribulation would signal the start of their second. After spending a year in the bunker, the survivors realize that the exit code is required. All attempts to escape the bunker are unsuccessful. Their supplies have run out. They all take their own lives. The thought experiment was a failure. Because Zimmet's card is a bunker constructor, he is the only one who knows the code. They decide to repeat the exercise. They still have a bunker and an impending catastrophe. Zimmet rushes in and grabs a gun while everyone is distracted. Petra is taking notice. The previously distributed cards, it turns out, include a second detail that alters the vote. James, a homosexual organic farmer, is accepted. The previously approved surgeon may have contracted the Ebola virus and is now being refused. She scolds Zimmet and dismisses his logic as rubbish. The hedge fund manager is welcomed despite traveling with a bag of gold. The fact that she is a girl means she can bear children. Carpenter is sterile. but he still gets in. Petra is an electrical engineer as well. The electrician is refused because he has an extremely unusual condition. Psychotherapists are unable to have children. The zoologist writes a blog for PETA. The genetic lottery winner was a chemist with a PhD. The real estate agent also works as a midwife. The pastry chef is perplexed since he has nothing additional on his menu. The opera singer speaks 7 languages, but she has an unwelcome addition. She will acquire a throat tumor in 3 years. The wine auctioneer has a 200 IQ. The fashion designer has nothing noteworthy to say. Autism spectrum disorder affects a harpist. Senator is the Supreme Court's first female justice. Soldier with a photographic memory. The housekeeper is simply a nice person. Let's hear the story of the published poet. Maybe not this time. Zimmet claims his seat is reserved for him. They are still unaware of the code. Those who were unable to enter the bunker attempt to flee the explosions. They fall short. Those who have been picked to reside in the bunker hurry there. Petra awakens and begins nosing around. She notices James and the chemist. He turns out to be homosexual outside of the workout. They preserve their personalities within the thought experiment. Aside from what's on the cards, Petra is a little let down. The group decides how they will procreate together. The carpenter, chemist, and James are all eliminated because they are sterile. Petra is teamed with Zimmet, and they are off. The senator is with the housekeeper, while the midwife is with the soldier. Explosions continue to wreak havoc on the planet. Zimmet believes that after 10 weeks of no pregnancies, they should swap spouses. The soldier with flawless memory disagrees, claiming that they are using logic too far to solve problems. Zimmet moves away. He returns a moment later with a gun and threatens everyone except the soldier to leave the room. The chemist is hiding around a corner. He leaps towards Zimmet as everyone else walks away, causing him to drop the gun. The soldier grabs it and holds him at gunpoint, but he is unfazed. Zimmet appears to have the upper hand on the pharmacist, but he grabs a nearby pencil and jabs him in the ear. Zimmet reacts by unlocking the bunker doors and slaughtering everyone. Another flop. James doubts Zimmet's motivations for the exercise and why he appears so bent on punishing them. He mentions the unusual cough he had when he allocated the roles to him and Petra, and he hasn't coughed since. He pretends to depart before bolting for the box containing the cards. The box contains hidden compartments, and James and Petra's cards have been tampered with. He calls Zimmet's vendetta against him into doubt. Zimmet inquires if he recalls Plato's cave allegory. In summary, since he was a tiny child, a man has spent his entire life tied to a wall. He only sees shadows and hears echoes, assuming that this is how reality looks and sounds. He gets unchained one day and discovers that the shadows are generated by bodies and the echoes are caused by voices. The entire concept of what was real was an illusion. According to Zimmet, this metaphor is similar to James. He claims the exercise is intended to confront James with how his privilege has ill-prepared him for life. But James does not believe him. Why make him a farmer when he could have been anything more useful, like a florist? Petra insists on performing the exercise a 3rd time. James will be a florist this time. They are on an island in their 3rd exercise, and it is early. We all know it's not just a cursory check when Zimmet goes for it. He grabs a gun and hides the rest, hears a disturbance but ignores it. Petra follows him outside and gives him an innocent hug, saying she knows it's been difficult for him. Petra invites everyone to put their trust in her to decide who gets to enter the bunker. Everyone is in agreement. Petra makes and explains all of her decisions. A wine auctioneer with a genius IQ and a bottle of wine. Zimmet is completely speechless. Dressing good raises confidence, which promotes productivity, which rebuilds civilization. Similarly, our poor poet's second skill is champion poker player, and he carried his cards with him. Some people believe that being a harpist with autism is a gift. Petra is praying that the surgeon who was exposed to Ebola was not infected. She could be mute in 3 years as an opera singer, but today everyone can fall asleep to her singing. Chemist is accepted because of his perfect genes, but he is concerned that he would be the only one without a partner because he is homosexual. When he explains in class that someone needs to be statistically, the pastry chef comes out of the closet and is permitted into the bunker. There are only 2 spots left. Petra goes with James. There is no way to defend Zimmet's behavior. He threatens her with a bad grade in class. He's not going to let this go. When he grabs for his gun, It is missing. Petra swindled it previously while hugging him. She returns the gun to him. He attempts to fire, but the gun is not loaded. Petra gives him 2 bullets. She doesn't want him to suffer like he did the last time. James brandishes a weapon at Zimmet. He noticed him attempting to conceal the firearms. With the final card in his hand, Zimmet claims that no one knows the exit code save him. Soldier's immaculate memory recalls it from the prior incarnation. He walks away defeated. Petra wants to offer the soldier the last slot since, according to her rationale, everyone's life is equal. Soldier flatly refuses to take her place. As a result, the sterile carpenter takes the last position. James asks Petra to come. Despite the fact that he is no longer homosexual in this activity, she says she'll take the boat and try to get out of the radiation zone, and the carpenter says he has the boat keys. He shoves her inside, changing places with her before the door shuts. The rest run to the boat to leave the island. Petra continues the thought experiment, noting that despite awful conditions that should have made everyone miserable, they had fun. Cards were useful, a lot, some fine wine, original poems and Shakespeare performances. James expresses his feelings for Petra, but she hesitates to reciprocate in kind. Petra creates harps for harpists, and their evenings with the opera singer were always amazing. The bunker was entertaining and full of ingenuity. When they return, they realize that the bombs never detonated. Zimmet narrates that they will perish because none of them had the technical abilities to survive on an island, but Petra counters that they will enjoy the rest of their brief lives well and welcome death when it comes, because that's how the cookie crumbles. Zimmet fires, preventing him from detonating the rocket. He discovered a cave and gone deep enough to dodge the radiation. He has been there for a year. Zimmet cannot allow him to execute such an irrational deed as annihilating the human race. He threatens James with his last gunshot, but the rest of the survivors stand in his way. My poet's man didn't have enough. They detonate the explosives. Boom. Zimmet returns to class, embarrassed by the latest exercise. Returned to carpenter, he conducted his own thinking experiment. 1 man, 6 women to himself. After being questioned about what happened to 3 other males, he explains, real estate broker drowned, the housekeeper was attacked by a barracuda, the electrician collided with a palm tree. Being infertile does not rule out the possibility of having children. What's the point of living if you can't perform some yoga with a partner? Chemist compliments him. Everyone exits except Petra, who comes outside and accuses Zimmet of attempting to use the exercise to punish James. Zimmet has an affair with Petra and believes James is beneath her. Petra contends that intelligence isn't everything. She is madly in love with James. Petra kisses Zimmet goodbye and walks away. The film concludes with Zimmet alone in the school, conducting numerous thought exercises with himself as he considers ending it all. Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.